Well, hey friends, this is Jennifer, and this is the Jennifer Allwood Show, the podcast for women who want to find freedom in both their life and in their business. I own a multi-7-figure-a-year coaching business. I'm also a certified life coach. So I have the honor of helping thousands of women every single month make money in the online space and help them to get unstuck from whatever is holding them back, all without sacrificing their faith or their family. In this show, you're going to get the very best life and business advice, always with a healthy dose of Jesus. So buckle in, my friend. I'm so excited that you are here. Well, hello there, my friends. This is podcast episode number 357. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Good Ranchers. Go to goodranchers.com and use the code GEN30 to get $30 off your order of American-made meat for the month of May. I wanted to chat with you today just about some false beliefs that you maybe have about ways that you think that you are not equipped maybe to do well in business, or things that you think are disqualifying you from ever having success in the online space. I just am coming on the heels of just finishing up my mastermind with the ladies who are in my next level mastermind in Nashville. And so we had an opportunity to talk about a lot of like false beliefs, limiting beliefs, things like that were, holding different people in the group back. And one of, I think, my secret sauces, if I can say that, is just having the ability to reframe a lot of times something that people believe about themselves that they think is wrong, they think is holding them back, they think is, their Achilles tendon, when actually I think it can be their secret sauce. It can be the thing that separates them from everybody else. It's the thing that people are attracted to. And it's just a matter of taking that false belief and just shifting it and looking at it in a different way. And so I want to talk about 3 of those things today. And I think this will help you if you're somebody who continues to tell yourself lies about why you can't grow on the internet, why you can't be successful online. There's a multitude of things that we think are wrong with us and we think disqualifies us for greatness. And so I want to talk about those 3 things. So number 1, some of you have this weird false belief that you can't be more successful until you get more organized and more productive. You keep thinking that the people you're seeing in the online space, they must have figured out the magical schedule during the day. They must have figured out the magical step 1, 2, 3, and you feel like you're still just scrambling just to get your ducks in a row. And I just want to say that a lot of the people that you are seeing in the online space who would appear for all practical purposes to be successful, because that's all relative, right? Like what's success for one person is not for success for another. And so, but you're seeing some people with some large followings and you're thinking, okay, they've got it all together. And I'm here to tell you that is not the case. There are so many successful, and I use that in air quotes, people that you're seeing online who are a hot, stinking mess. There are, I would describe that to be myself. There are people you're seeing in the online space who are looking super successful, but they're not organized. In fact, they are not productive. They have a team around them that keeps them on track. There are a lot of people who you're seeing on the internet right now who either have ADHD or they are neurodivergent in some way, and they are talking about that in the online space, and they're super successful. You can go look at Chalene Johnson's content. She talks a lot about being in business with ADHD. You can look up Sean Whalen. You can look up Jamie Nato. Those are all like just 3 people right off the top of my head who are talking about their ADHD. They're talking about what makes them different, and I use that in quotation marks, from others. And this is not like a hindrance to them. This is the thing that makes them so attractive to others. It's the realness about how they operate and how their brain operates and thinks, but it's also that they're not looking at it as something that is hurting them, but they're looking at it as just, this is the way it is. And they're not letting that stop them. In fact, I think so many people whose brains operate a little bit differently, they have a brilliance that a lot of us can't even tap into. And so whatever it is that you're telling yourself about, getting organized, about getting productive, I need you to stop, first of all. And then I want you to also go listen to podcast episode number 353. I talked about the difference between time management and time stewardship. Because some of you are still thinking that in order to be successful, you just got to figure out a good schedule. You just got to figure out how to record a podcast on Monday and do social media on Tuesday and et cetera, et cetera. And listen, your brain is never going to work like that. Stop trying to put yourself on a schedule. All right. So many people can be successful without the organization and without being productive. They have figured out ways to almost force themselves to hold their own feet to the fire. And they figure out how to surround themselves with people, whether it is a coach or whether it is people on their team who can help remind them of what needs to come next and in what order. So that's one. Second false belief that I want to talk about is, this is for those of you who may think I'm too old to be successful in the online space, or I'm too young, or I'm too awkward, or I'm too serious, or I'm too quirky, or whatever your too is. Friends, I know it's no secret that I am not the cook in the house. I am not the one that makes any of the food. I'm just not good at it. But recently, you might have seen on our Instagram stories, Jason was grilling steak and chicken and burgers all at once. And he usually does this every Sunday or Monday night for us. This way we have food that we can eat on all week. We're less tempted to go out. We're less tempted to eat things that are bad for us. It just helps us at the beginning of the week really set up for the week. So if you have not been to goodranchers.com yet, you need to go. This is trustworthy, 100% American-made meat, ready for cooking for a week in advance, for your, grilling party, for your summer parties, whatever it is that you're about to have. And they have generously offered Gen30 as the code that you can use to get $30 off of any box of meat. So $30 off any box with my code Gen30. Go to goodranchers.com. That is Good Ranchers, American meat delivered right to your door. If left to our own devices, every single one of us would have something that we are too. And I just want to remind you that some of the most interesting people I think that I follow on the internet are people that could fit into one of those two categories. Okay, so like if I look at, for instance, how many of you follow Grandma, and I think her last name's like Droniak, it's Droniak on Instagram. She's hilarious. And for all practical purposes, I mean, she's not, a spring chicken. I don't know how old she is, but we're going to say 65 to 70 plus. Okay. We're just going to say that on the conservative side. She's amazing. How many of you follow Amy Purdy? You might know Amy. She's a person who has 2 prosthetic legs. Her content is phenomenal. She is so good. It's the thing that makes her different than other people. But she's not using that as an excuse as to why she can't be successful online. Do you follow Molly the mom? I mean, for all practical purposes, Molly is hysterical, also a little bit awkward, and it just makes her so endearing. And I know so many of you, you're thinking that because you're too something, that's the thing that's going to hold you back. And literally, if you will just spin that thing on its head, and if you will quit thinking that that's the thing that's going to hold you back, and instead just double down on talking about it, on exposing it, on shining the light on it, that could be the thing that separates you from everything else, from everyone else in your industry. I can remember years and years ago when I started talking about being a hot mess in business. I can remember that because somebody called me a hot mess, in like not a complimentary sense, in like a derogatory sense. And I sat and thought about it because what I often do when I get negative feedback on the internet, and newsflash, sometimes I do. But what I always try to do is think to myself, okay, is there any truth to this? I want to filter it through the lens of truth, because if there's some truth to it, then I want to take it as constructive feedback and see, Lord, do I need to shift? Do I need to change? What do I need to do? And if not, then I need to be able to just release that comment, release those people, give them over to God and not think twice about it. Okay. So I got a comment that I was a hot mess, and I was like, Lord, is this true? Is there any truth to this? And there's absolutely so much truth to that. I am an absolute hot mess, you guys. I fly by the seat of my pants the majority of the time. I'm constantly throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what will stick. I am not organized. I am not, I don't follow a certain system. I forget a ton of things. And so I fit the hot mess description. And I can remember when one day I was like, you know what? They're going to call me a hot mess. I'm going to go make some money off being a hot mess because I'm not the only one. And I can remember thinking to myself, I'm going to start talking about being a hot mess in my content because I'm not the only one that is. And I was already having success. I was already speaking at the home show with Chip and Joe. I was already selling my DIY videos. I'd already hit the 6-figure mark selling videos. And so I was having success. So I started talking about how I could be successful in spite of being a hot mess. And it was insane how many people resonated with that. I still talk about that. I was talking to my mastermind ladies on a phone call that we had this morning about being a hot mess and to stop trying to fight that and figure out how you can just work with the way that God wired you. If I had needed to be more strategic, if I had needed to be more organized or to be more productive in some way in order to be successful, I assure you that God would have designed me with that. But the fact that he didn't means that I don't need that in order to be successful, or I'm going to have other people around me who can fill that hole so that I can be successful. Third false belief. Some of you are thinking, okay, I'm not good on video. I'm not comfortable on video. I'm not good on video. Therefore, I'm never going to be successful online, on social media, whatever. Okay, listen, there are so many different ways that you can do video. There are so many people who do not have bubbly, extroverted personalities and do great on video. There are so many people who are just delivering really good content, and people don't care if the background is messy. People don't care if they're a little bit awkward in their delivery. I'm thinking about one of the ladies in my mastermind who is not at all awkward on video, by the way. Her name is Julie Oxidine. She owns Julie's Wreath Boutique. She has almost 800,000 followers on Facebook. She's got a ton on YouTube. And she has figured out a way to do her video so that her camera is just pointing at her hands and she's doing voiceovers. And so she's making her video. She's not showing herself, but she is showing herself making things. And she is being ridiculously successful with that. There are so many ways that you can do video where you don't have to show yourself. And let me just tell you about my friend Ray Edwards, who has just had some relief from the symptoms of his Parkinson's disease. Praise God. I'm so happy for him. But he was still doing videos in spite of Parkinson's. Friends, you keep disqualifying yourself. And it's excuses. I love you so much, but you're using excuses. And listen, God knows you so intimately that he doesn't buy them for a hot minute. And I don't either. I think one of the things that I'm so good at is trying to turn some things on their head and to really encourage women that they can still be successful in spite of however they are wired. Thank you, Jesus, that we're not all organized and really productive and really techie and all of the things. I mean, what a boring world it would be if we were all wired the same. And so if you are telling yourself that you have to be more organized and productive, or that you're too anything, too old, too young, too crazy, too awkward, too serious, too whatever, or if you're using the excuse of, I'm just not good at video, I don't want to do video, I encourage you to flip the script on that. Reframe it in a different way. Look at it differently. Stop believing your own nonsense. Stop believing it. Because the truth is, usually you're just scared. And usually you're just worried that nobody's going to buy, nobody's going to follow, nobody's going to comment, nobody's going to share. And the truth is they might not. They might not. And if you just look at the thing that you're most scared of and just really get to the bottom of what's the worst thing that could happen. Okay, so nobody comments. Big deal. Move on to the next post. Okay, so nobody says you did a great job on that video. Okay, go to the next one. You're going to get better. It's interesting when we really think about, okay, what is the thing that I'm most scared of? Is it that I'm going to put something up and nobody's going to comment or nobody's going to buy it? Or the girls that I went to high school with back in 1987 are going to gossip about me? I mean, at the end of the day, who stinking cares? You have a call of God on your life. You have something that you are designed to do on this side of heaven. God has given you a talent, and I believe that he fully expects for you to use it. And if you needed to be wired in any different way, he, I assure you, would have made sure that you would. So I hope that this was helpful for someone today. If there's a part of you that had FOMO when we were talking about my mastermind, and you were seeing all the Instagram stories and all the reels and all the things, if you're somebody that needs that swift kick in the pants on like a weekly basis, if you need those pep talks from me, like on a one-on-one basis, I want you to go to creatorsnextlevel.com. That's the wait list for my mastermind. We will be opening up sometime late spring. I want you just to get on the wait list, creatorsnextlevel.com. We'll just send you an email. When it's open, you can decide if you'd like to fill out an application. But the only way, by the way, that I want you to go to that is if you are someone who is willing not to believe your own nonsense. If you're going to come into my group and continue with your excuses, you won't fit in real well because we hold one another accountable. And we believe that we are called for such a time as this. And if we needed to be any different, God would have made us that way. So I love you, my friends. I hope that this was helpful for someone. If it was, send me a DM on Instagram. I'd love for you to share this, tag me on it. Until next time, be blessed. Friend, thank you so much for listening to the podcast again this week. I'm so honored that you come back for every episode and that you share the Jennifer Allwood Show with your friends and family. Every time I see you guys post about it on Instagram or Facebook or something, it just makes me do a little happy. So thank you. Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast if you never want to miss an episode. So you can go to Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or Spotify or any of the other podcasting places and subscribe each week so that every week you get the new episode when it releases. So just know that I love bringing you relevant content. I love bringing you great guests. And one of the ways you can help us here at Team Allwood is by leaving the podcast a review. So if you have just a second to do that, would you go over and leave a review for the Jennifer Allwood Show? Thank you again. You're amazing. I'm honored to be here. Until next week. Bye-bye.